riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire Emilio to my Charlie Sheen, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
I am very woozy.
Woozy? Are you 80? What are you talking about, woozy?
I didn't have time to get hair dye this week, so I went with spray paint, and I forgot to open the windows of your car when I got in a costume a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And not for nothing.
Wait, my car?
Your car's a mess, and I apologize.
You had to have known. First of all, we did not arrive here together. You have your own car. You purposely did this in my car because you knew that you were going to ruin. Why did you do it indoors?
And that's why I'm woozy. I don't know. But also, Garrett, I am angry at both you and this guy on Twitter, the Luke Turgian. I don't know how to say it. What the fuck? Is he blackmailing you?
No. I just took his suggestion after we had such a good time with his last one. I said, you know what? This guy's on a roll. Let's double down. And we sure did, Tim.
So you don't have some sort of bet with him going about how many awful rap albums it will take to drive me completely insane?
No, I have a feeling I know that number now. Let's not hold back, Tim. What album were we talking about?
This week we are talking about 6ix9ine's debut mixtape or album thing, Day69 Graduation Day, released February 23rd, 2018. That's right. This week, Garrett and I are gonna 69. Did I do that right?
No, you didn't do any of that right. I was worried this would happen. We're talking about 6ix9ine, as it's pronounced, formerly Tekashi 6ix9ine, formerly Daniel Hernandez.
If I was not intended to say this like a fucking idiot, he would not have spelled it like a fucking idiot.
Your way makes me nauseous. It makes me think that you're skipping.
Better reaction than I could have possibly hoped for.
As you said, the album's Day69 by the artist 6ix9ine. Our particular flavor is Day69 Graduation Day.
Day69 was released in February. This, I believe, was released in April to capitalize on one more single.
Lady Gaga move. I got it.
Yes, exactly.
Glad to know that we got the longer version. We knew that up front. We're doing a mixtape. It's not your standard album. It's a longer EP. That's pretty short. It didn't feel short, though.
Oh, God, no.
Before we even address how we feel about it, we have to ask that all too important question. Tim, do you hate this album?
Yes, I do. This did some real physical and psychological damage to me. What about you? Did you hate it?
Wow, you came at me quick. I'm not sure.
I feel like you're only doing this to preserve some sort of mystery.
No. This is something I have wrestled with all week. The lyrical content it's a more terrifying Lil Wayne.
Yes.
Excuse me. Oh, in every way. And I mean terrifying. I am terrified of this man and his friends. Musically, I was impressed. I think that this is a logical next step for rap. The ridiculous repetition of murder and sex with women it'll drive you crazy.
Definitely not a next step for rap there.
No, that's very much of the time, although it's kind of always been. I felt like we really got away from the murder era of rap in like most of the 2000s until kind of recently. And now it's back with it. I guess it's been back since Lil Wayne got on the scene.
I don't know. Didn't listen to much rap in the 2000s.
Yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Absolutely. I apologize. I'm going to say I'm not sure that I hate it. God, I probably hate it. Tim, I hate this.
There it is.
I'm going to try to go the other way this week. I think I'm going to try to pull it from a hate to a don't hate.
Well, I'm going to be here to make sure you don't make that mistake.
So you hate it, I hate it, looking to find a reason not to. What is your history with Mr. 6ix9ine?
Absolutely none. I had no idea this was a thing or he was a person until someone on Twitter happened to mention him. Is this the first time you've 69'd? Excuse me. I apologize. That was way off base. Is this the first time you've 6ix9ine'd?
No.
Really? You know what? The way I asked this might have been confusing. Have you heard the music of Mr. 6ix9ine before?
God, Tim, I gotta say right now, I hate you. You've ruined my car. This whole studio smells like a paint store. Your eyes, you look like a demon. They're bright red. That paint didn't dry, buddy. You're
I got it on my hands and then my eyes were itchy.
I mean, you look like you're openly weeping. I guess you are.
I am, yeah.
And I got bad news. You know how some paint is non-toxic if little kids are going to have it? If you look on the back, you're going to find some sort of wording that indicates very toxic. Specifically, keep out of eyes.
More importantly, how have you heard this person before?
I had heard just a little bit twice. I heard him discussed on a podcast, and I didn't know who the fuck he was, so I did a little bit of research, and I listened to one song and was like, yeah, I'm good. Put you in the little yachty pile. And then when Jack White was getting ready to release Boarding House Reach, he mentioned that he felt as though artists like 6ix9ine was a representative of the real punk music spirit of modern day music, in that they were innovating and they weren't afraid to cross boundaries and create new popular sounds.
I don't entirely disagree with that.
I don't think he's wrong. And so I was like, maybe this will help me to gain some insights into Boarding House Reach. I had not heard it at that point. Unfortunately, it did.
Yeah.
So I went and I listened to a couple more songs and continued to believe I don't ever need to hear this. I went back and I listened to it again. Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, I listened to Boarding House Reach again, T to B, top to bottom. And that album sucks.
Next time my mom's in town, I'll have to give it another go.
Make sure she can hear it. Don't keep it at a volume where she can have a conversation with you. So I was also a little aware of him because of the number of legal cases that have made their way into the news feed.
I've noticed that they've made their way into my news feed quite a bit in the past week, but it seems like something I would have just skipped over before.
Ah, I see.
I just assumed it was one of those, a lot of like small papers will have like a mugshot roundup. That's probably what I assumed it was, because, I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah, kind of. All right, so you had virtually no history with him. He was nothing more than an abstract figure for you to ignore. And I had virtually no history with him. A little more cultural context, and I'd heard a few of his songs. That explains us. Let's try to and to do that, Tim, we have to understand his roots. Tell us about the history of this young man.
Before we start, I should say I watched on YouTube 4 podcast interviews with this guy, totaling about 5 hours.
Oh my God.
That's how I spent my week. And I tried to keep figuring out what he looked like. The closest I could get was Jason Mewes and a Puerto Rican Neil Young having some sort of love child. And then for some reason that love child gets rainbow hair and rainbow teeth. Daniel Hernandez, as you said, Tekashi 6ix9ine, he was born under a rainbow in the Bushwick neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York in 96, which is weird to me.
Very. I would begin driving 2 years later.
Several years before, but sure. He is half Mexican and half Puerto Rican, and that should not be important, but it's very notable because he's not black.
Kind of important.
Yeah, because he clearly has a very specific favorite word that he says constantly, and when pressured on why he was able to just drop N-bombs constantly, he responded, I think Charlemagne the God was the person that asked him this, and he said, I'm allowed to say it because who's going to stop me? Fair enough. I mean, that...
Wow. You really put him and me in our places. That's bold, sir. Seems to have worked out. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, Tim, and I don't want to harp on it, but it's a good opportunity to just mention when Tim says that N-bombs are getting thrown around here left, right, and center, it is to the point of hindering our ability to make any rhyme or reason of some of the lyrics.
Oh yeah, there's entire verses where it's said at least 2 times per line for like 10 lines in a row. I should have done a count, but that just makes me feel real racist, so I didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. It would have been very interesting from a statistical standpoint, but I feel like we're just best off steering clear of counting that. It's got a real 1939 feel to it.
His dad was murdered in front of his house when 6ix9ine was 13. This has sort of the exact effect that one would expect. He gets expelled from school in 8th grade, and then he starts working as a busboy, also at a corner store or bodega, and starts selling heroin to customers. It was almost endearing the way that the internet insists on phrasing it. He was selling heroin as a way to supplement his income. So
I think they are implying supplementing his mother's income.
Okay.
That's why the internet says he initially started taking jobs, is to help pay for shit.
He's arrested for this and gets sent to Rikers Island as a minor, which I did not know was possible.
Doesn't seem like a good policy.
No.
Those are men.
Yeah, men in gangs
men.
that he will immediately join.
What's funny is, depending on the article you read, there's the little detail left out there that I believe is part of the reason he went to Rikers Island. It's not just the selling of the heroin. I think it's also assault.
Oh, yeah. He beat up his boss?
Yeah.
Is that right?
When he fired him for selling heroin. Something like that. I mean, it's a terrible story. The guy's father's killed. He's kicked out of school. His mother's like, yeah, that's cool. Don't go back. And so he starts working at a bodega where he sells heroin and then beats a guy up. I don't think that kid should go to Prison Island, right? Maybe get him into a Big Brother program.
Yeah, but maybe one with a no leaving policy.
So it'd be like a youth center, right? Where you would have like mentors and people to watch out for you to make sure that you didn't get into trouble, but you don't leave. And so like they probably lock the doors and stuff and make sure that like nobody gets to go unless they talk to a mentor first. And then like they each kind of have their own room, but then at night you can't have kids sneaking in between rooms. So you probably lock those doors.
Yeah. And ideally these people, these big brothers who also of course are locked in there as well. Like maybe if they've had a history with sort of the same sort of trouble, so they know kind of how to guide this youngster through the system. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'd like them to have roots on the outside. If this young man is released before his mentors, there's somebody on the outside to also take him in that's connected with these people on the inside.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you describing? The
gangs.
Mentors can't leave?
Yeah. While he's at Rikers Island, he joins the 9 Trey Gangsters, a notably violent strain of the Bloods.
He hung out with them, Tim.
Okay, that's true.
They shared a milk.
In the many, many interviews, one of the frequent questions is, weren't you a Crip and now you're a Blood? And he says, no, I'm cool with both, which I wasn't aware was a thing. But
no, you are not the Switzerland of gangland.
I'm not, but he is.
No, he is not. Although he does kind of seem to be.
Yeah.
Because so the 9 Trey Gangsters, did you say they're a subset of the Bloods?
Yes, a specifically violent subset.
I want to say, Tim, this is Lil Wayne on Wayne on steroids. But I felt as though, despite the multiple gun possession arrests, a lot of Lil Wayne was overblown, right?
Yes.
But 6ix9ine, Jesus Christ, I'm terrified of this guy.
And it's strange because he's little. He's as little as Lil Wayne. But he's got some sort of multicolored fangs.
I think they're fangs. If anything, they're probably quite dull, although...
No, they look real sharp.
I thought they were rounded.
Let me tell you something. As a person that recently had a mouth full of diamonds in place of where my teeth were, they're sharp. Sometimes they're sharp pointing up at your gums, which isn't what you want. But in some way, they are in fact sharp.
His rainbow teeth, much like Lil Wayne's diamond teeth, are both easily removable, much like a mouth guard that a hockey or football player would use. What you did was removed your permanent teeth, which you had I'll tell you what, your face lacks almost any discernible features whatsoever. We all agree there.
Absolutely.
Your smile, A+, kid.
Aw, thank you.
I don't like... Okay, see...
No, this is really sweet.
Already made me regret this. I know,
there,
you need to...
Hold on. Before we move off this compliment topic...
Oh, come on.
Because we may never come back here again. Is there any other part of me? It doesn't have to be my body, although I'd appreciate it if it was. Or my face. Any, physical characteristic that you...
No. In fact, I would like to rescind my previous compliment. The point being, you now have all fake teeth and they look like garbage.
I've got a little Rikers Island Snapple branded fun fact that is legally distinct from Snapple's real fact. Salvador Dali once did a drawing specifically for this prison as an apology that he was unable to come and talk to the prisoners about art. It hung in the inmate dining room for about 15 years, and then it was moved to the prison lobby where 3 prison guards were eventually arrested for stealing it and replacing it with a fake, and it has not been recovered to this day.
What a great story.
Much more uplifting than the story we're about to get into.
Folks, strap in.
This gets as dark as the darkest moments on Sugar Ray.
Darker.
Yeah.
Because it's real. 100% confirmed. Convicted.
His music career officially begins in 2014. He was putting songs and music videos on YouTube and SoundCloud. YouTube took them down for nudity and violence and just generally violating their terms of service. The same thing happened with Instagram whenever he posted videos of him getting brain and other things that Instagram did not care for. He collaborated with a rapper called Zilla Kani, and then he allegedly stole some pretty sick beats from Zilla Kani, and he began releasing singles on a Slovenian record label? Slovakian, excuse me, called Fucked Them.
It is called Fuck Them, but that was a clever use of the whisper sing. Good grats.
Strangely, one of the interviews I watched with him gets into a lot of depth about Slovenia. Apparently, Eastern Europe is a genuine trendsetter for rap music. If you look at what they listen to, that's what the US is going to be listening to in like 3 years.
According to who?
According to him and Charlemagne the God and a bunch of other people in the know in the rap community, allegedly this is the case. He becomes a YouTube and Instagram star/meme. He does semi-inventive music videos recording on roller coasters and stuff like that. But really his popularity is mostly for that single photo of him looking like a jackass. 2017, his first actual singles are released, beginning with Gummo. His SoundCloud takes off. Then in February 2018, the first version of the album of the week is released. He releases a bunch more singles. Then he opens a chain of beach-themed bar and grill restaurants up and down the eastern seaboard of the U.S. And
sorry, what?
No.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Buffett. You've mixed up your notes again.
A couple weeks ago, his real debut album, Dummy Boy, it was released, but it was actually delayed for about a week due to him getting arrested for what is not the first time. That's his rise to musical fame, but we should talk about his many, many criminal offenses. The first that I could find was 2015. At 18, he made and then distributed child pornography in the form of a music video that the internet just described in way too much detail. I was super uncomfortable even reading the content of this video.
Yeah, it's not good.
6ix9ine pled guilty to felony sex acts with a 13-year-old, but somehow never got any jail time. He did get pretty weird probation for this. It included 1,000 hours of community service. He had to get his GED. He had to refrain from posting social media with sex acts or violence against women. He was not allowed to commit crimes for another 2 years, which is a very weird stipulation because everyone has that court order technically. And he also was not allowed to use the phrase treyway in public for its gang connections.
Not exactly. So that actually happens after he fails his GED and then gets his 3-year probation turned into a 4-year probation with the stipulation he's not allowed to say a word.
They extend his probation, which in my mind is not how probation is supposed to work.
It is if you've got a great lawyer. Instead of registering as a sex offender and or going to jail, he just gets a year added and then he's not allowed to say a word. What does that mean?
I don't know.
The government can tell you can't say a word?
Clearly.
But it's a word. It's your speech. I mean, he didn't have to register as a sex offender, so I guess you just be like, great, you give me like 100 words I'm not going to say.
Based on his interviews, he definitely sees himself as the victim of this little incident. He made the statements, "It's not fair how I'm treated. You know how the system do."
I feel like the system do you pretty good, dude. Because I had to put you in jail.
Jesus Christ, yeah. In April 2018, he's arrested for assaulting a police officer at a traffic stop, and he's given another year probation. July 2018, in a Houston area mall, a 16-year-old videotapes him, so he shouts, "Delete the video," and then chokes the teenager. Doesn't go to jail for that.
Nope.
Later in July, he is kidnapped, robbed, and pistol whipped. Thieves steal $35,000 in cash and $750,000 in jewelry from him.
Why does he have those things just sitting around?
At least he wasn't carrying them. They actually drove him to his house. And
that's good.
I watched videos of him getting some of this jewelry. One of them is this ridiculous necklace made by some guy in Houston that for some reason, where like the main part of it would be hanging in front of him, is the head from the Saw movies, the mask.
What?
Why? I know. Why? It's very confusing.
Do you know how much it was?
In the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, it was made of diamonds?
Yeah. In October 2018, 2 of his entourage members are involved in a Manhattan gang shooting. In either October or November, he punches his girlfriend in the face, allegedly. I don't think that one ever actually went to court even.
Nope.
Later, November 2018, a couple of guys shoot up a Kanye West, Nicki Minaj, 6ix9ine music video shoot. And then in November 2018, 6ix9ine. A few weeks before we recorded this very episode, he was arrested on RICO charges, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, and illegal fire. You know, we should stop this. We should stop this episode. You're right. I don't want to make fun of him anymore either.
There's a silver lining though, Tim.
If he's convicted on all counts, he will serve a minimum of 32 years to life. Bail was denied, so he's going to be in jail for about a year before his trial will even start. He was placed in a separate facility for altercations with Crip gang members, and he will definitely be sentenced for that sex tape with a 13-year-old now. So he will probably legally be a sex offender soon enough.
That's gotta hinder your music career, right?
Well, one would think, but who was that guy that urinated on the child?
R. Kelly?
Yeah, he's fine.
Allegedly. I mean, there's a video of it, but allegedly, I guess.
The last piece of history I have here, in May 2020, he was murdered in a jail cell at the young age of 24.
Little news from the future, huh?
That's right.
Interesting. Well, we will keep a watch. That's exciting. Should we get a countdown clock here in the studio?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know. I like a good countdown.
Yeah, you do. But we shouldn't count down to a sexual offender being murdered.
Boy, when you say it out loud, though.
We'll get a clock and we'll set it for a date.
We just won't tell anyone what it's for.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll know, and I'll know.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell everyone.
I think we just did.
It's a rough history.
Yeah, let's move it right into general thoughts, because general thoughts this week are going to be very interesting, because I have almost more to say about the man than I do his music. Let me first say, if anyone's unclear, I'm terrified of him.
I'm terrified more of his connections to people.
Sure.
People that hang around him.
Him and his friends. They are a rough and tumble group. They all have very fancy necklaces, and they scare me.
You're right to be afraid.
He looks like a jackass.
Yes.
At a young age, he decided to have 6ix9ine tattooed all over his body, like an asshole. What you and I might have done at 13 with a screen name, this guy did with his body.
He claims in one interview, I was kind of ugly anyway. I had a bunch of acne and I thought this would distract and make a statement instead of people looking at that.
I think that's an incredibly honest answer. I'm shocked he was willing to be that vulnerable.
Well, you can't be fronting all the time. Did I use that right?
Close. I think fronting, though, is still more showboating.
Really, a lot of it it's just bizarre. Because, I mean, he films music videos on roller coasters. The cartoon album art that we'll get into, because that's stolen. But it's a very weird aesthetic to have for somebody that seems to sing exclusively about fucking bitches and murdering people. His words, not mine.
Right. Good point. That's what makes me so confident that he is not lying when he says that he will come shoot the fuck out of you, because this seems to be a man who lives his truth. He does not seem to hesitate to follow any impulse, good, bad, or indifferent. Most of them are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his work ethic, though? At 14 years old, were you writing, performing, and releasing music on a consistent basis, reaching out to young, up-and-coming production labels in, where was that?
Slovakia or Slovenia.
This guy was building a career. In that beating and burglary mix-up, he probably lost more money than I have made my entire collective life working, because he doesn't use a bank. If you're super rich and you have a need to purchase extravagant necklaces, get a fucking wall safe and put a painting of some dogs playing poker in front of that thing. You're rich. That's like the coolest thing you get to do. Or have a room. Not like Toby Keith has rooms. Like a money room. I guess I'm describing Scrooge McDuck.
That's the thing. You can have that all you want, but whenever the pistol whipping starts, you gotta not tell people where it is.
I think you can convincingly say, yes, I'm very wealthy. My money's in a bank. Would you like to go to the bank?
But I think people look at him and say, you don't have a bank account.
That's true. I guess I'm putting myself in his shoes rather than putting
his shoes in yourself.
Right. You didn't grow up here in the States, so this might be lost on you, but to any of you public school kids out there was very often in your class like one kid who was just a fucking spaz. He'd get kicked out. He was the only kid in elementary school that actually somehow got suspended because he called the teacher a bitch or just start shouting or whatever. And as a kid, you're cracking up because you're just like, this isn't supposed to happen. Now as an adult, you realize, oh wow, his parents, some fucked up things were happening in his home life and he was just looking for somebody to fucking help him. That's this guy. And I think that he's put a considerable amount of time and effort into being a rapist. 50% of the beats I like, but you're listening to the lyrics of an uneducated man with the impulses, self-control, insecurities, and priorities of a 13-year-old.
Yes. You're saying it's kind of musically interesting. I mean, all of these songs have producers. There's allegations that he stole a lot of the 6ix9ine beats.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he's actually making any of the music. But I will agree that it does seem to be doing something a little bit new.
I think it makes Kanye look like a child.
Yeah, well, musically. He does have some sort of rock or metal impulses, and he's got, sometimes it's called scream rap. It sounds a lot like Lil Wayne with more yelling.
I thought it sort of sounded like DMX.
Agreed, but more abrasive.
Somehow.
It mixes the rock and the metal influences a little bit into it. It's the rap equivalent of new metal. This is new rap.
I see what you're saying.
Right,
It's new rap, so it's predominantly rap with elements of rock.
Exactly. And I think that if you follow this path along, you're going to get the Korn and the Papa Roach of rap. And I can't wait, Garrett.
I would argue Lil Wayne might have ushered in, may have ushered in your new rap era.
I'm not sure that's accurate, because I think that Lil Wayne was a rappist who made a new metal album.
Okay, but he's got several rap tracks that have guitar on them, like traditional rock
that's
guitar.
true.
As we've mentioned, he's a confrontational dude. A lot of these songs, when they're not about his general bloodlust and desire to fuck bitches, his words, not mine, he is beefing, Tim. He's beefing with former collaborators. He's beefing with celebrities. He's got a lot of beef.
Yeah, and I actually take issue with some of his usage of the word beef on this album, because it is gross.
Tim, I had a realization, much as when we did the Lil Wayne episode, and we realized that ultimately Texas Toast is our home base. We're always going to be loyal to that, but we're going to have some side projects, some one-offs, some super groups comprised of course, only of you and I, in different genres of music. As we continue to build a back catalog large enough to release a mixtape of our rap hits, we had to come up with names. I think we landed on G Peasy and the West Campus Strangler.
I am not.
I apologize. That's not where we landed. I think I stuck with G Peasy maybe, and you were MC Ambiguous.
Yes.
If we're going to have a rap duo, then I think if we want to seem cool, we got to start some beefs. We got to be beefing.
Okay.
Not with each other, but we got to get beefing with some celebs. So I put together a short list. I have not reviewed this with Tim. He did not know that I was going to propose we begin some feuds with random strangers.
Let me ask you this. Is George Clooney on this list?
No. Do I need to add him?
No. You were very jealous of George Clooney, and you talk about him a lot, and I just wanted to make sure.
He was very clingy. I wanted to go. We were stuck in that airport lounge for way too long, and he just cornered you, and he just kept talking about motorcycles.
I was into the motorcycles. And you know what? I wasn't. I didn't care about the motorcycle talk. I just liked that he was paying attention to me.
Yeah, that was clear, and I didn't care for it. You weren't you. You weren't your best you. I'll say you that. He's not on the list. Clooney's safe. And these are just hypotheticals, Tim. Feel free to give me your comments as they come to you. First up, Billy Crudup.
I don't know who that is.
All right, we'll keep him as a maybe.
No. I'm 100% in to feuding with this Billy Crudup person.
He's an actor.
Okay.
I think he might have been in, you know what? I have no idea. And that's why, because I know his name.
Yeah, we'll beef him.
No idea. Yeah, wait.
I am into beefing this man with you. This is your idea. I thought you wanted to do this.
No, we're going to be beefing with him.
All right.
You know what? I feel like a little earlier, there was some confusion around the way 6ix9ine uses beef in the album and what I was talking about. Our dicks aren't involved.
No, of course not. Of course not. We're going to beef him.
No, you don't do it to him. You do it with him.
No, but he's not at him. We'll beef at him.
That sounds like a good compromise, friend. Next up, Alex Trebek.
Yeah. Until he grows the mustache back, I am 100% in.
Don't look at my notes. Absolutely. On the condition, we will immediately stop beefing the moment he grows that mustache back. Next up, Sarah Jessica Parker.
I feel bad for her.
You shouldn't, and here's why. Do you remember Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes, he was magnificent.
Vital, young, captivating.
Oh my God, she did suck his soul right out.
She, Tim, is a soul sucker.
Absolutely.
She took his essence. He's fragile.
But see, she doesn't
doughy.
look like she stayed young from it.
That's because she augmented it with severe plastic surgery.
Oh, okay.
She thought that she was greater than the Mystics.
The old ways are the best ways. You've always said that.
That's right. Author Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Goes without saying. Come on. That guy's books are for children. Let's all stop bragging about reading them.
You still owe me that last one, though. We have some sort of challenge.
It's not hold on. It's not some sort of challenge. We have a challenge. We have a ongoing life bet. Tim and I challenge each other outside of the show to do other terrible things, ranging from simple things like eating or drinking something awful, all the way to reading the complete works of one Dan Brown.
And you owe me the most recent Dan Brown book.
And I'm playing a little side game where I see how long I can keep from reading this book until Tim punches me. Next up, cats. I don't like them.
The musical or the animal?
The animal.
Yeah, I'll beef cats.
No, you do it at them. We agreed it would be at them.
Yeah, all right, I'll beef at cats. I'll get a bunch of cats in a pile, and I will beef at them.
Next up, Gerard Butler. You know what? I want to take him off the list. You know what, though? That fucker keeps making movies.
Every one
That's
of them,
not
he
his
gets
fault.
the same reaction. He's got a rough go of it.
You're right. Gerard Butler, you're off the list. Cantaloupe.
I will, but keep in mind, I'm still going to keep buying it and having it at the house.
Can I ask you? You don't eat it. I've never seen you eat it.
Oh, no, I let them rot in the kitchen. I like the proximity, knowing how much you hate cantaloupe.
Last up, I don't really have a lot of flexibility on this one, so if you say no, the rest of this episode is just going to be a heated debate, but intolerance.
I'm sorry, the concept of intolerance?
Right, we are going to be beefing with intolerance.
I love it. I love it, and Lena Dunham's going to love it. She's not going to love the rest of this episode, but she's going to love that idea. We should beef intolerance hard.
We've got our feuds. We're beefing. We've got our rap names, of course, G-Peasy and MC Ambiguous. If you have better rap names, please submit them. You know how to find us. Despite working hard from a tough childhood to become a multi-million-dollar selling recording artist, it is difficult to respect this man in any way, shape, or form, both for his flagrant acts of violence, flaunting of the law, bloodlust for murder, and mistreatment of women.
And children.
However, we are going to dig into these songs.
I have one little thing I've got to do before this.
Okay.
I watched 4 to 5 hours of interview footage, and I can't let us get into the song by song without giving you a few pearls. One of these might turn you around completely. Quote from him, completely out of context, "New York will never prosper because it is too full of dick rotters."
What's a rotter?
It's somebody that rots a dick. It's like a soul sucker, but for dicks.
Are you sure he didn't say dick riders?
He made it quite clear that that dick was going to rot.
Okay.
I would fuck myself.
What does that mean?
That's not the one yet.
I would fuck myself.
Yep. And the last one here, in one of his interviews on the Breakfast Club podcast, he sat there picking his nose for an hour and 10 minutes. And then he went to shake Charlemagne the God's hand. And Charlemagne the God said, "No, picking your nose." To which 6ix9ine said, "Look at the bottle of water I'm holding, man. I cleaned it." And so then they shake and he leans in and he goes, "I lied." Now, does that sound familiar to anybody you know personally?
Oh, yeah, that's a classic Garrett prank. Not with boogers, of course. I'm an adult.
Yeah, you're more of a balls man.
That's right. You cup a warm, balmy handful of raw man genitals. Your own. I should make that clear.
I have,
specifically.
You know what?
Yeah, no, you cup them and you have a conversation and then you find an excuse to shake that person's hand. And as you grip their hand, hold on tight because they're going to buck. You remind them where your hand was and they'll think back and they'll remember it was in your pants. You know, I should mention this was in college where it wasn't terrifically odd to just have your hand in your pants. It's not really something I've carried into my adult life.
You went to a very different college than I did.
I went to the same college as you. We lived in the same giant house. And as I recall, your hand was in your pants.
My hand was in a lot of pants, friends.
It sure was.
Gross.
Are you ready for this song by song?
I am.
And folks, we know this was a little longer opening than usual, but this is a very thin piece of work. So the song by song is going to be a little shorter than average. Track number 1, Billy.
So this is the first of 12 songs that uses the exact same clip of him shouting "Scum Gang."
Scum Gang! Yeah. I really got tired of the Scum Gangs.
What I do like, because he starts off a number of songs with it, and then there's a song that doesn't start off with it, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to have to hear that shit. And then it's after after the intro he throws it in, or at the end of the song. I think every song on this has it.
And some songs have it multiple times. Once again, Tim, you and I may be drawing the ire of the Bloods.
Uh-oh.
By critiquing these songs. Here's a lot of shout outs. There's a Treyway in here, something I think he's legally not allowed to do.
A lot of these songs and what's in some of his music videos seem to be a violation of his probation.
As I read the probation, it read something along the lines of in public. So if you do this in private but record it and distribute it, that's still public, right?
That would be my understanding of the word public, yeah.
Just checking. These songs, God, they're tough, Tim. The very first one, he's already declaring his intent to kill. Whole squad full of fucking killers. I'm a killer too. Sending shots.
First of all, the shots thing, it made me laugh every time because it reminded me of that stupid LMFAO song. The line before the shots, the thing go, rah, rah, Kanye West dragon noise.
Not to mention the Nicki Minaj dragon noise.
Yep.
Rah, rah, like a dungeon dragon. Tim, the show is breaking me.
Yeah, no, I know. I wake up crying more days than I would like to admit.
That is you. Okay, I thought we might have rodents.
Every morning I wake up and I'm like, Garrett's crying. This is going to be an awkward morning. It's real loud. And then I realize those sobs are coming from me. And I don't want to listen to any more 6ix9ine.
It is disturbing and fascinating how you view yourself in the third person. Randomly and seemingly without control.
Yeah, I fall in and out of this thing.
Life?
My body. I just... Sometimes.
Are you living some sort of being John Malkovich? Is this being Tim Malkovich? Is someone being you?
Oh man, I'm going to forget to do that, but somebody should hashtag us being Tim Malkovich because I want to remember that one.
Well, I may not want to. Is somebody inside there?
Yes, sometimes, usually, me. But then sometimes, I don't know where I am. On autopilot.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
In the upside down?
No, I think it might be a mild seizure activity.
More of a sunken place situation.
Yes. Real quick here. So we're going to end with gun sound effects. But before that, dick up in the pussy. Bet that shit get gushy gushy. She want the whole gang bussin' all in her pussy. I want the drip drip while I get my dick lipped. Little suck bitch licking on my dick tip. She's a freaking hoe.
Ah, come on, man.
No, because he says beast mode.
Yeah, that's not his words.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm aware he didn't come up with beast mode. We heard people shouting that while rock climbing, and it almost made
that was beast it. Fun side note, I almost died one day while rock climbing with no ropes, and this was in a place where you're supposed to have them. And some other people next to us with ropes and helmets and harnesses and such were motivating each other and began shouting, non-ironically, beast it. I laughed so hard I almost died.
It's the way to kill Garrett. Track number 2, Gummo. Every time I heard this, I was unaware that a new song had started because it's got the same gun noises. Of course, the same Scum Gang flip.
That's actually how I knew we'd either ended a song or begun anew. He claims, as you mentioned in history, Tim, to not be a gang member.
Yes.
He then begins this song by shouting, Suo?
I don't know.
I think it's Suo. Forgive me, Bloods.
It's actually a sample.
Okay, my point being is the song opens with a shout out to Bloods that's very specific and would likely only be recognized by Bloods.
It's also used in a Lil Wayne song, but yeah.
But he openly says he's a Blood.
He does claim to be.
I was so sad, Tim. One of my earliest notes on this song from the very first time I listened to it, and I wrote down, did somebody just shout cocaine? Didn't shout cocaine. They shouted Scum Gang.
I have some questionable lyrics to read, and
what a shock.
I need your reaction to some of these. I have questions. She wanna fuck, but keep her clothes on. I only want the jaw. Man, that's really all I use her for. I kick her out the door. First of all, that's weird. Based on his that's all I use her for, it seems like he is the one keeping her clothes on because he wants to get rid of her quickly afterward.
I think there's a lot more subtext here.
Oh, okay.
What he's saying is that the woman comes over and he begins to make a move because they both know why she's there. And she's like, no, like, wouldn't it be more fun if we just kept our clothes on? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. We can totally keep our clothes on. And by that, I mean, you can suck this dick. And of course she does, because then she's uncomfortable and potentially underage. Not clear.
Allegedly. No, not allegedly.
No, convicted. And we're not joking about that. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. We're joking about the fact that he didn't go to jail immediately for it. That's horrible.
There's a lot of horrible about Mr. 6ix9ine.
And then he's saying, ultimately, I don't even want to fuck. I just wanted to bang her mouth anyway. So it works out.
Jesus Christ.
His words, not mine.
True, but you're a lot more casual with this whole whole thing than I would like. Next question I have. You have to let me finish this because it's going to sound like I am propositioning you, and I'm not.
Okay.
I don't want her. You can keep the whore. She fiendin' for some more. Put my dick in her backbone. I pass her to my bro. You and I are pretty good friends, right?
As close to friendship as we're ever going to be.
Yeah, so you would say we're bros. And we share a home, a living room, bedroom, kitchen situation.
Combination, yep.
It's
a big room.
And, you know, we were both in long-term relationships with women, and so this would never come up. But if it did, I want to be very clear. Please don't ever pass me a hoe. The very idea of that, well, really the very idea of you, horrifies me to my very core. Don't do that.
Not a potential other person. There's somebody out there that could be like, I am done with the intercourse with this young lady, and she was curious if you'd like to follow up where I left off.
No, you know what? There's not. What you just said is very upsetting to me. There's plenty of people that are into such a thing. That's their choice as long as everyone's an adult and okay with it, enthusiastically consenting. You can all pass the hoe around.
You bring up something that's very interesting, and I noted it in a number of these songs. It seems to be at least part of the rap culture to share women with your friends as though that is a good thing. So you and I you grew up in a bizarre kingdom on a cordoned off piece of land made to look somewhat like America in the middle of a desert hellscape.
I grew up in a place where men would marry 4 women and not share them with anyone. So no, this is very foreign to me.
Right. I grew up in a middle-class suburb. We're all basically still fooling around with each other, but we have the decency. Boy, maybe they're more enlightened, Tim. Because you basically have your core friend group, and as you're all growing up and learning and experimenting with your sexualities, varied as they may be, it's all kind of the same group of people, and it's quite incestuous. Not literally, of course. I just mean there's a lot of crossover. I have to be specific on this episode. Perhaps they're more enlightened to just acknowledge the fact that they're all banging the same people.
No, I think it's stated here as sort of a disrespect thing.
This whole thing, it's disturbing, it's fascinating.
I will say this for Lil Wayne. Lol. He rapped a lot about how he enjoyed receiving oral sex. You would agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He rapped almost as much about how he also enjoyed giving oral sex. Not the case with 6ix9ine. He's not
Absolutely
a giver.
Not. 6ix9ine is a taker. He'll take your life. He'll take your self-respect. He'll take your personal agency to honestly critique others online that you may fear.
And that's the worst of his... Nope.
Not even close. And I don't even fully understand those racketeering charges. It's worth noting Pierre Bourne, who produced the beat for this song and also claimed that it was stolen from him initially, but then later Trippie Redd said that he gave it to 6ix9ine. He said, I would like you to remove my producing credit from this song, given the fact that 6ix9ine is clearly a pedophile, specifically stating the accusations at the time that he had engaged with inappropriate behavior with a minor.
Good for him.
We get more gun sounds in here. Don't want to forget about those. Yeah, it's funny, Tim. I'm just looking through my notes to make sure we didn't miss anything. And there, sure enough, there it is. He enjoys his hoes and, more importantly, enjoys sharing his hoes with his good friends. That's so curious. I would love... Folks, if you out there enjoy just sharing your hoes or are a hoe that enjoys being shared, write in hatePodMail@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter, album HatePod, or Instagram HatePod. I want to understand this culture of sharing women. I'm not interested in it personally, but from a sociological standpoint, it's fascinating.
Yeah, me too. Sociologic. That's what I'm into.
Tim, I hate to say this on air, but he commits a robbery in this song and then flees the scene, and then once again begins threatening to kill more people with his gun.
Track number 3, Rondo, featuring Tony Lanez and Young Thug. The first conspicuous auto-tune on this album is in this song, and usually I hate the way auto-tune is used, but I also really hate his actual voice, so I'm kind of torn on this.
I didn't mind the auto-tune in here. Now, granted, we've been desensitized by hours upon hours of nonsense, but I kind of with you. After years of hating it, in this instance, I was like, well, it's kind of nice. I don't feel like I'm being shouted at.
This is mostly about how he likes bitches and money.
That's true. This one is very bitches and money. family-centric. I learned a new word in this song, Tim. Did you know what a bando was?
No.
It's an abandoned home. He sings handstand off the bando she lit. So he grew up hanging out in abandoned homes, whereas I grew up hanging out in homes that were being built. It's just funny that kids kind of seek out basically the same haunts.
Yeah, because you
hang
want
out
somewhere where no one can see you so you can smoke cigarettes when you're 13.
Yeah, he was doing worse things.
Maybe not at 13. Oh, no, he was selling heroin. I apologize. He was doing worse things. Yeah.
This song is specifically about not fighting. This is the only song in which they go out of their way to say that they ain't throwing hands in this bitch.
So, okay, because I have a question about that. Do you know, is that literally we're not having a fist fight?
Yeah, I think some people start a ruckus, they start fronting, and he comes in and he's like, we ain't having this. And then I think he starts throwing some money around, if I understand, throw a couple bands in this bitch.
Yeah. Good.
He's looking to keep this shit nice and chill because they're all having a really good time. And if shit gets serious, you know what they'll do.
The guns or the banging bitches. Either way. Yeah. This includes a lot of product placement, presumably to get free things. He mentions Bentleys. He mentions Rolls-Royce, a couple of jewelry makers in here. And then he mentions Heinz.
Oh, yeah, he does.
It was almost endearing. He's bragging about all these fancy cars and all of this stuff. And he also likes ketchup.
You can only make ketchup so fancy. At some points, Tim, you just got to take the classic.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess you could get some sort of gold-infused ketchup, but that would taste horrible.
You don't know that.
Tim,
I'm going to infuse our ketchup.
Don't ruin our
with
ketchup. Come on, I just bought it.
It's going to get...
whole...
you won't even notice.
You're definitely going to notice.
It's going to cut your mouth up quite a bit.
Yeah, we don't have time for this.
There's an official explanation for this song.
Okay.
Rondo focuses entirely on the kinds of sexual activity that often happen in the ghettos, featuring a smooth, sensual hook from an emotionally raw Tony Lanez and getting some assistance from the evasive and electric Young Thug. The track tells a devastating story about a drug-addicted prostitute who slowly loses touch with reality as she tragically descends into a maddening world of addiction. One question, does it though?
No.
Okay.
What song did they listen to?
Rondo. People seem to really be reading into it, or possibly he's claiming that these things are in this song. I don't get it at all.
No.
And then it ends with Scum Gang.
Of course. Did you catch the part of this song where Young Thug clears his throat?
Mm-hmm.
It might be my favorite part of the whole album. He sort of addresses it. The line he was going to sing is, I got my money in my Bentley. And when he fucks it up and has to clear his throat, he almost addresses it by saying, bitch, I said I got my money in my Bentley. So quite an interesting list of expenses. Rolls-Royce, as you mentioned. He's got coupes. And then he also pays tuition.
That's true.
He's got 6 kids, 4 different ladies. I assume he's just confirming the fact that he provides some sort of educational support for these children, which is good. Boy, 4 different women for 6 kids. Now, Tim, before we turned on the microphones, and folks, this is 100% true, Tim was questioning whether or not I understood how babies are made.
Yes.
Remember this?
Yeah.
I laughed at you because you were clearly joking, and I declared that I'm a grown man. Of course, I understand how babies are made. I don't think they know how babies are made, because you would not have 6 children with 4 different women if you knew how that works. 3. I'll give you 3.
3 different women or 3 different babies?
3 babies, 2 women.
Okay, good. We've got it quantified. Listen up, America. You get 3 babies with 2 women. After that, you have to admit you don't really understand babies and how babies are made.
Because you're dating a woman, you have a baby. You love that baby, turns out to be one of the greatest things that ever happened. You have so much fun with it, boom, you have a second baby. Puts too much of a strain on the relationship, you guys break up, pretty cut and dry case. Now this lady's got 2 babies, you move on, you start dating a new lady. You love having kids, you think this one's the one forever, knock her up. Now you got 3 babies, 2 mamas, no problem. However, you cannot move on to a 3rd mama. Because at that point, you know, you can move on, absolutely. Have as much intercourse with as many people as you like, assuming they are both, again, of age and loudly consenting. When you get to the 3rd woman, you've got to begin practicing safe sex, or we're going to have to take away your privileges to operate vehicles and be left unattended.
I was 90% sure you were going to say, instead of take away your privileges, I thought you were going to say take away your penis.
That is aggressive.
Well, we're in an aggressive album this week. We could be taking dicks, Garrett. I don't know what we're doing this week.
We could be taking dicks. We're playing for keeps this week. We might be taking dicks.
Let's try not to, though.
Track number 4, Kiki.
I'm a block boy, double trigger gun.
This one starts off with a good scum gang.
He starts out by telling us how much he likes a good routine. He lists many things that he enjoys to do on a regular basis. Things like busting at the cops, bitches sucking dicks, giving top. And let me stop there, Tim. What's giving top? It's mentioned a number of times throughout the album, and I didn't look it up because I didn't want to seem uncool to Google.
I'll tell you this, it's better than taking bottom. Oh, the look of disgust on your face really warms my heart.
And then, of course, aside from busting on cops and the top giving, the third thing that he enjoys on a regular basis is water whipping. Did you know what water whipping was?
I did not. I know now.
For those of you who are uninitiated like we were, that's making crack, folks. So we're busting at the cops, we're getting our dicks sucked, and we're making crack. I don't condone it, I've never lived it, and I don't know for certain, but that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's the kind of lifestyle you can't live that long.
I will take this journey with you.
Okay, that's a real...
But we're not passing hose back and forth.
We'll get those dots, those little sticky dots, and you can pick a color and I'll pick a color, and so we know which hoe is which, so there's no double dipping. Because you cannot trust a hoe, Tim. If she doesn't think it's going to work out with you, she might turn to me and vice versa. Because they're hoes. There's no emotional connection here. They're crafty.
I don't want to do your prostitute life.
It's your idea.
It's my idea for us to spend our lives together, and I'm just trying to do something that will make that acceptable, palatable, if you will, to you. And if it has to be getting a bunch of hoes and making crack, and then later we'll rob a place but not wear masks because he does that later in the song.
Then you're saying you're on board. Which is it, Tim? Are you on board or are you out?
I am, but to be clear, it's so we get to spend time together.
Whatever. Kind of takes a shot at Lil Wayne here and then makes fun of Puff Daddy. He makes reference to the Hot Boys, saying, baby, I ain't a hot boy, I'm a block boy, which, yep, that sounds right. Double trigger Glock, make him Diddy Bop. Are you familiar with the Diddy Bop?
Yes. Yeah, I am. It's hilarious.
Honestly, like using that as a visual reference for shooting a man to the point that he begins to Diddy Bop, that's dead on. It actually made me smile when I watched Diddy doing it. I was like, okay, that's some goddamn clever wordplay. I don't hate this entirely. If you listen to it like a foreign language album and you don't focus on any of the words, the terrifying words, maybe then.
This is always funny. Half my family does not speak English as their first language, and so they kind of have that aspect where they will listen to any sort of music that's in English because it's their second language. They'll sing along to stuff like this, and it's the equivalent of humming for them because they're not really thinking it through.
They don't understand the actual cultural...
It's some random German kid with speaking English very properly, rapping or, singing along to Rage Against the Machine or something. And my mom's just like, what? It's very funny.
I remember that time you hired 3 German men to follow me around New York, and they just had on blue jeans and white t-shirts. And they were terrifying. I can't even imagine if they'd begun singing these words. God, their disguises were awful. They had their clothes that they were wearing in shopping bags. Folks, this is 100% true. Tim doesn't admit that he sent them there, but I was there and I saw them multiple times, and then I doubled back and they were behind me, and we all got on the elevator together, and they were silent except for a couple of words in German and then a very bad American accent, and all of their suits were in bags, and they were all wearing jeans with white t-shirts tucked into them.
Yeah, they're Americans. That's how you know, because of the jeans and the white t-shirts.
Why were they following? They were there to kill me, weren't they?
Nah, if somebody was hired by me and wanted to kill you, I'm sure you'd be dead by now.
Why are they so inclined to rob you if they're so wealthy?
Who?
Not the Germans. 6ix9ine.
I think it's fun. He's getting pistol whipped and robbed, so he has to maintain his street cred as somebody that can also pistol whip and rob. Ooh, so pistol whip and rob? You can be Rob.
You don't get to be pistol whip.
I want to be pistol whip.
You can be pistol.
It'll be pistol, whip, and rob. But we're going to need a whip or a rob.
So hold on. There's some sort of stage show. You're called Pistol and you're whipping a man named Rob?
No. There's 3 of us. I'm Pistol. You can be either Rob or Whip. And then we need a third guy.
For what?
To be the third in our Pistol, Whip, and Rob group.
What does the group do?
Rap.
Thank God. No, I'm going to pass. I don't think I've used my 2018 pass this year. I'm going to pass. That's a bad idea.
Okay, so you have no more 2018 passes left. The first verse rhythm is basically back that ass up, just with far more horrifying things said over it.
I noticed that as well.
Oh, I didn't notice it. The internet told me.
Once again, the stench of theft is wafting from Mr. 6ix9ine. I'm not making any formal accusations. Other people are.
We're just reporting on the facts. Please do not shoot us in front of our homes.
Yes, or anywhere for that matter. Track number 5, 9-3. Well, guess what, Tim?
What's that?
Scum Gang!
Can I tell you what this song is about?
You can try.
6ix9ine takes a step back to contemplate the very nature of humanity and of depression, wondering whether or not all the hardships in his life are really worth it, while reminiscing about the loved ones he's lost. It is on this track where Takeshi really begins to expose his emotional core as a romantic and a thinker, one who doesn't just stare at the injustices of the world we live in and mentally discard them, but one who looks at the problems around him and wonders how he can try, in his own way, to solve them.
According to who?
It seems revisionist at best.
I feel like you just read a Robert Christgau review. That was utter nonsense, only way more cogent. But they have no idea who this guy is. That is not in this song. You want to know what is in this song?
Yes.
Go all out. When we back out, that's a blackout. You get laid down. You gonna stay down. Throw shade now. Get flame now. Leave your face down on the playground.
You're
They're
right.
just murdering people on a playground.
It sounds like he might be wondering whether or not all the hardships in his life are really worth it and reminiscing about the loved ones he's lost.
Where are you getting this?
I'm just reading the statement again.
No, but where did it come from?
This was listed as the official explanation on Genius Lyrics. I don't know who wrote it. It seems pretty official. It sounds official.
It does sound official. All of this murder might be a veiled reference to that famed collaborator Trippie Redd. I think he's like a Columbus or somewhere in Ohio based rapist. They had a falling out. The aggressive way in which he says those lyrics that I shouted earlier did remind me a little bit of Eminem.
Yep.
Because Eminem is definitely guilty of the kind of shout rap.
Yeah. Imagine, Garrett, if this was Eminem length.
Oh my God. We need an award for worst album of the year. Folks, start letting us know. We need a top 10 and then we will award worst album of the year.
Post your top 10 on Twitter or Facebook or email it to us. That's fine too. One rule, it almost certainly has to include this album. God, I hate this album, Garrett.
You're hearing it right here, folks. We're going to do our own top 10s and we'll review some listener ones as well. And we'll go through our top 10. Boy, this is going to be fun.
Track number 6, Do We. It's a really bizarre opening.
I like it.
This certainly influenced Jack White.
It opens with a woman, British mechanical woman perhaps, saying, phosphate.
Unclear what that means.
Yeah, never referenced again, but we do get another scum gang.
Yeah, and this is the one, so they do the phosphate, then they do so many yeahs, and then they do your scum gang.
Do you know how many yeahs?
I did not count.
Hot off the presses, Tim. They just wired it into my earpiece. 92 yeahs.
That's 91 too many yeahs.
I will give you 10 yeahs over the course of a song, but 92 is stretching the boundaries of incredulity.
I think it's not necessarily it's that there's so many in a row. You can get away with she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Leave it at 3. You can repeat it after that, not in a row.
Tim, this is why I keep you around. It's not about your total yeah count. The TYC only comes into play with songs over 16 minutes. Your real issue at hand here is the number of times yeah is repeated. And this is not a blanket statement for all words, but for yeah, the number's 3, just as you said.
Every word has a number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeahs is 3.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do you remember what, say, celery is?
Celery is actually 7 in a row.
Wow.
It's because it's such an unusual word for a song, you can allow more.
Tim, this might be a record. I'm going to give you 2 compliments in the same show, assuming I didn't edit out the first one because you reacted so uncomfortably. But the amount of time you must have put to understanding, studying, and memorizing how many times each word in the English language can be repeated is phenomenal, such that you're able to recall them right off the top of your head. I've never once seen you look a single one up. You just immediately know the answer.
Yeah. Well, you want to throw out a couple more?
Sure. Lamp.
2.
Wow, 2?
Yep.
Folks, I mean, you've probably never sat with an expert like Tim, but let me tell you just how rare 2 is. That's pretty exciting on the first guess we got a 2. All right, sure, let's keep going. Whale.
Whale, you can go with 4, but...
Really? I would have thought with the wha sound, you'd be seriously limited. I was trying to get 2 twos out of you.
It's 4, but as we learned in the de-antword episode, you can't do it that fast because you run out of breath.
Okay. Let's do just a couple more quick ones. Let's go with owl.
Owl is 3.
Ruler.
Also 3.
Doorknob.
Doorknob, because of the 2 syllables, it actually counts double. So you can say this one only twice in a row, but it's sort of like saying something 4 times.
I agree. Scapula.
I feel like you're trying to trick me. It's not going to work. Scapula is a solid 4.
Wow, god damn. Guys, I've got the book right in front of me. I'm checking him in real time. 100% right.
Yeah.
100% right. You are just fascinating.
Yeah, and my dad told me that it was a waste of time to memorize that entire book, but I always say it's never a waste of time to memorize all books. And I am 3 in.
Curious choice to make one of the first 3 a book you wrote yourself.
I did not write that book, Garrett. That is the official book on how many times words can be used in a row in songs.
Right. Okay, I agree. That is the title of the book. There are 2 things, though, that make me believe you wrote it. One, it is in your handwriting, and it is a book handwritten. I'm counting that as 1. It's a handwritten book, coincidentally written in your handwriting. And 2, more damning, I think, is that on the front, underneath the title, it does say written by Timothy Richardson.
That's a very common name. If you Google that name, I will not be the first one to come up.
I lured you into a trap. I had a feeling you might say that, so I'm going to go ahead and just hand this over to you and ask you to flip it on back to the back jacket cover and tell me what you see a picture of.
That is a picture awkwardly pasted of me in the back of this book, yes.
And you are wearing a...
turtleneck with a tracksuit over it.
Correct. Is there any reason why the photo, blurb, and authoring credit all are you, about you, of you, and your name? And again, I want to point out, this is a handwritten book with a jacket cover. I feel like you might have wasted your entire book budget on this because this is high quality, high gloss. Boy, we have seriously derailed from this album. What song are we even on?
Do we?
Oh, I know why. Because it's 92 Yaz and a whole bunch more threatening to murder people. In fact, in the interest of time, let's move it ahead to track number 7, Cuda. Can I just say, Tim, what in God's name do the titles of these songs have to do with the content?
Well, nothing.
Okay, am I correct in assuming these are made-up words?
I believe so, yes.
At a certain point, I understand that it's art, and much like the creative license you and I take on a weekly basis with the accusations and theories we put forward, and let me just be clear, they are all in fact alleged.
Except for this week.
We're not saying it. With the exception of this week, and in fact there's a full conviction and ongoing indictment. All the other ones are alleged.
Yes.
But in this song, he is very explicit about all the drugs and crime he does. At a certain point, you got to question, that might come back to haunt you, right?
I think this whole album is, again, a violation of the terms of his probation.
He literally says, I roll up, I'm going to be booted. He's all fucked up on Xanax. I'm going to be booted, stupid, and shooting stupid. And then it continues on, and he ends the verse with, I really do this. He literally says, I really do this. If you're going to find yourself in front of a judge on a regular basis and you enjoy rapping about murder, sexual assault, and theft, especially if you're going to be charged with these various crimes, at the bare minimum, bottom line, lowest bar that your lawyer could set for you is just don't ever explicitly say, I actually do this.
Okay, so let me reread these lines. Need the drugs, I'm the Zan man, I'm the damn man. I roll up, I gon' be booted, stupid, and shooting stupid. Bought a knife, I bought a Ruger, stupid. This is a metaphor.
Maybe instead of I really do this, just a simple change to I didn't do this.
Later in the song, black van, pull up to your mama crib, boy, tie her up, drive that shit off a bridge.
Yeah, they're not fucking around, right?
No, they do not appear to be fucking around. The other thing is the line, you can talk hot on the internet, boy. It really seems to undercut the gangsterness of it all whenever you're talking about fucking having arguments on the internet.
I agree. It was incredibly jarring.
I think he's the youngest person we've ever featured on the show, and probably the only person that's grown up basically exclusively in the time that the internet was ubiquitous.
Absolutely. Track number 8, Bubba.
Let me read the genius official explanation for this song. On Bubba, 6ix9ine pays homage to one of his favorite characters in film, and a character that he's viewed as a role model since his early childhood, the kind-hearted shrimp enthusiast Bubba Blue from the 1994 film Forrest Gump. By examining Bubba's life and ultimately demise in the Vietnam War, Hernandez not only crafts a compelling anti-war anthem, but also illustrates how the kindness of just one person, fictitious or not, can have an enormous impact. I swear to God, these are like Onion reviews for this fucking...
They're Mad Libs.
Because whoever wrote this is a good writer. It has to be a bit.
It's just either a bit or they got the wrong album. Because they got an early cut that was an unofficial print, and so somebody copied the wrong songs, but it's got the track listing for this album. There's no way it's this, because none of the things they just said are in this.
Let me provide a little counterpoint to that. Got this bitch all on my body. Bitch, get off my body. Get the fuck out my whip, lest you gonna try and suck my dick. Lest you got the shit I can sniff, lest you got the shit I can taste. Might be about Bubba, because shrimp, right? He's talking about food there at the very end.
No. He's talking about drugs, Tim.
Yeah, he is. This seems to be a song about violence, murder, sex. He loves crime. I think that might be the thesis statement to this album. I love crime, and I want you to know, and I also want the judge to know, that's never going to come back to bite me in the ass.
An odd detail in here, got this FN on my body, if you're feeling froggy. FN is short for FN Herstal, a well-known military-grade weaponry company. Had you heard of FN Herstal before?
No.
You know what I've heard of? Smith & Wesson. I've heard of Colt. This is not a reference to any of those. It's a reference to military-grade weaponry. This guy is killing people, right?
It's his confession writ large.
Yeah, this is a musical of the crimes he's committed. He should have called this Crime the Musical.
I'd listen to that. Or
My
watch
Sexual
that.
Awakening.
What? No.
Maybe just called Crime, a Sexual Awakening.
I'm in. We can do that.
What does that mean, we can do that?
We can commit a crime and halfway through awaken sexually.
I have awakened. Tim, I'm awake. Are you awake?
Yes.
Sexually?
But you can always get those eyes open further. Track number 9, Mookie.
As I mentioned earlier, Jack White claims to be a fan of this gentleman. This song opens exactly the same as Hypermisophoniac.
Yes, I appreciate the fact that you also thought of that because I can't say that word.
No, you sure can't. If you want a good laugh, folks, go back and re-listen to Tim saying Hypermisophoniac and then getting angry at me and making me say it.
The refrain from this is also stolen from a Youngblood song, the Don't Start No Shit, Won't Be No Shit. This song, I think it references curb stomping.
They do discuss stomping people and putting pistols in their mouths.
Yes.
Boy, has anyone ever gun stomped someone? Put a gun in their mouth and then kicked down?
I don't think so.
Equally as big a problem.
More so a problem for the kicker, though, because the curb doesn't fire a bullet through the back of the head and at you.
I think we're headed towards the same direction. Opens like Hypermisophoniac, potential curb stomping, and the pistols in the mouth. He goes to a party on Percocet and brings a gun. Song over.
Track number 10, Gummo, the remix featuring Offset.
Very little to be said here. 2 things that I want to mention. 3 things. You know what the first one is?
Nope.
Tim, come on. What do you think the first one is? You know.
Scum Gang?
That's right. It's Scum Gang. I think I do like this version more. I suspect you do as well.
Yeah, don't have much to say about it.
It's a thin margin. The only thing worth hearing in this one is Migos raps in here making a reference to Boys in the Hood, which is a great movie. If you have not seen it, you should see it. Lambo speed shifting, get shot in your back like Ricky. Other than that, I think we can say track 11, Chocolate. Starts with a Gregorian chant that I can't repeat on this show and wouldn't want to.
Yeah, it's got a real weird opening.
It's followed by an electronic keyboard that makes you think you are not about to hear an angry, violent man rap.
But I have a question for you, Garrett. Couldn't tell where we landed. Do they want smoke?
So glad you asked. No, I'm surprised you didn't get it, but I'm not shocked. It turns out, based on this song, and they only said it 24 times.
No, that's the thing. I need up in the 90s to
really hammer it home. But no, because they only got it out a mere 24 times in this song, I could see how you might be confused. They don't want no smoke.
Yeah, I didn't think they wanted smoke, but I had to be sure.
All of these terrifying lyrics are set to a surprisingly sort of upbeat and electronic noise that reminded me at times like Take On Me by Aha and the original Sweet Dreams by, what was that, the Eurythmics?
The bridge for this song, I lose my shit when I let that 45 go. I'll blow that bitch, knock the beef out of your taco. Now, Garrett, we were talking about beefs earlier. Mm-hmm. Care to explain this line? How do you knock the beef out of a person's taco?
I don't know what he means here.
Okay, well,
tacos should not be full of beef, not lady tacos.
Oh my God.
Oh, I feel as though I might have ruined the song for you. What did you think he meant?
I don't know. I assumed eating like a crunchy taco filled with taco meat, and he was going to like knock it out of her hand.
No.
Well, then, ew.
Yeah, she's got a meaty taco.
Okay. Come on. A beefy taco.
Right. She's got a beefy gordita. And he's going to knock the beef out. So I think he's just going to... I think he's just saying his fuck style is buck wild, something we fully support here on this show. And Tim, I've yet to get an update. We've asked across multiple months, are you ready to declare yay or nay? Is, in fact, your fuck style buck wild? Are we ready to have you made a conclusion?
That's private. I'm not going to talk about my
so
buck wild fuck
folks.
style.
He's practically purple. For somebody who is routinely making others around him so incredibly uncomfortable, he is actually speechless right now.
I don't like it when you ask about my fuck style.
I'm not asking about it. We have been asked about it, and you promised us an update, and here we are 4 months later, and we still don't have an answer. I'm getting by, but I feel as though our listeners are owed due justice. We'll check back with you later, Tim, try to reconcile it in your mind, and come up with a good, true, honest answer.
Track number 12, Gotti.
Who's Gotti?
John Gotti?
No, this is not about John Gotti.
No, it's a nonsense word.
I think he is a fun way of saying I got.
Well, then every one of the other songs must have a meaning.
That's not how this works. Is he singing about dancing or robbing a place? He sings, yeah, you know I do my dance. In the club, throwing dub. Rack it up, shake it up, I mix it hard. Then I hit her with the blicky. Now, as we all know, a blicky is a gun. So does he perform at a club and then rob the club?
How do you know he's robbing necessarily? Perhaps
he's just with the blicky.
Perhaps he's just striking a woman, yes.
You know what? I forgot. I suppose he could be pistol whipping a woman.
Yes. And in fact, she ain't fuck me when I was lame, nah. Is 4 or 5 lines before that, he is angry about his lack of sex, and so he's striking somebody with a gun.
Goodness gracious. Guys, this isn't TV. You don't strike somebody with a gun and they're fine. It might do more damage than the gunshot.
No, that's not true, but it will do a lot of damage to somebody's face.
Let me put it a different way. You may just as easily murder somebody by striking them with a gun as shooting them.
Oh, sure.
Tim, there is a chance. I really dug into this as the last song, and after 11 songs in a row of sheer disappointment, I dug into this, and I think that there's a chance that this is a deep lamentation on the disillusions of fame and achieving your goals at a young age.
I'm sorry, were you writing these genius explanations for what these songs are about?
Not what this is about. Gotti Gotti. Who really with the money? Who really with the Gotti Gotti? Who really with the money? Oh, do my dance. Hit my things, break these bands, 100 bands on my thing. Mollied up, molly up, give it up, cop it, then serve it up, give it up. Clearly, he is talking about the mundane day after day of meeting the expectations of those around you and finding no thrills in material gain. He's Gotti everything, Tim. And he does his dance and he hits his things. And he's got these bands he be breaking, 100 bands. And he's mollied up, doing all the drugs, getting down with the ladies, presumably making it rain. Goes to bed, gets up, does the same thing all over again, and is still just as unfulfilled as he was, that poor sad 13-year-old boy screaming for his papa on a stoop. Or it's just about how he likes getting shit and sometimes robbing people.
It's probably that last thing. There's also the lyrics, I pray to God that my family gon' see. I pray to God, praying that the Lord will take a chance with me. Perhaps he has decided Jesus is the way to go.
I think my thing's more likely than that.
The robbing and shooting and getting stuff?
No. The deep introspective look at his own career.
Oh, no. That's unlikely. I think it's probably the acquiring things and stealing things and banging ladies and maybe pistol whipping somebody. And
I was going to say, don't forget the disproportional violence.
Yeah, I hate this.
We're at the end. We're through the song by song. Let's get into performance. Do mixtapes make money?
They do. They make a lot of money. Did not do as well as most of the albums we talk about, but it did pretty damn well. Debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200. It sold 55,000 copies the first week. It is certified gold, which means it sold between 500,000 and 1 million copies in the US. It hit number 10 on the Dutch megacharts, number 15 on the Swedish Sverigetoplisten, and number 20 on the Schweizer hit parade.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, the Dutch
Europeans love this guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, especially Eastern Europeans.
Slovakia does not.
And you're saying you know more about the rap game, the hip-hoppery, than Charlemagne?
No, I'm not nearly as steeped as Charlemagne, but I think that he's overstating the legitimacy of the influence that Slovakia has.
They're not necessarily trendsetters, they just know what's coming.
Well, yeah, but there's always a mountain of things coming. They're singularly picking out the good shit. That's my point.
Yeah, they're like the dog that can smell cancer in somebody.
No, they're like people that have good taste in music.
No, not good taste.
Those dogs scare me. Every time I see a dog, I wonder if it can smell cancer when it sniffs me.
The numbers on
how... sniffs my birthmark. You know that big misshapen one that's asymmetrical and changes colors all the time?
Yeah, I do. The numbers on how this actually sold don't really tell the full story of its popularity. The single for Gummo sold over 1 million copies and has 315 million views on YouTube. Kuda has sold over 500,000 copies of the single, 200 million views on YouTube. Kiki, another 500,000 copies of the single, it's got 108 million views on YouTube. And Gotti has 277 million views on YouTube. I watched that music video. It's not very good. I don't know why people are watching it.
It can't be because they all have a podcast. So it did damn well. What did people think of it?
Critics don't seem to like it. To be honest, we don't have great Amazon reviews, so let me read a couple of critics' reviews. Charles Aaron of Rolling Stone called this a grim dud. All things considered, Day69 is a staggering failure of artistic statement, whether it's the unremarkable production, or his own limitations as a rapper, or the severe drop in quality beyond the singles. There's not much going on to justify his existence in the rap game beyond an unfortunate habit of generating negative attention.
Yeah, that's pretty on the nose.
There are 12 Amazon reviews for this. 3.4 to 5 stars, 50% 5 star, 33% 1 star. And most of them are about how he's both fire and also lit.
He is lit.
I did find reviews for, you can purchase the teeth on Amazon. You can purchase his
I assume
grill.
That's where you got yours?
No, I had these specially made. I did not realize they were on Amazon. But the 2 out of 5 star review for his grill, it's entitled Teeth for Little Ones and Not Adults, and says simply, too small for adult teeth, returning. Which raises the question, why are you making this product for children?
Maybe it's like a child's mouth guard. All right, Tim, who is this for?
I think it's for people that think Lil Wayne is too tame and restrained. I could use more murder and less cunnilingus, more fellatio. That's what I need in my music.
You're always saying that.
Not in my music.
No, but you're just always saying that. I just hear you say that a lot. I don't understand the context, and I try to
Okay, you just hear me say that on the phone while I'm talking to somebody that you don't know who that is. Yeah.
Could be anybody. Final thoughts. What have we not said about this?
I think we need to speak directly to the Luke Turgeon for a moment. The guy that recommended this on Twitter. Please stop sending us recommendations. Like, I can't speak for Garrett, but I'm giving you a 6-month ban on recommendations. I cannot do a third album that guy wants us to do.
Keep them coming. It's awesome. This was terrible.
This was
really bad.
Here's the thing. I'm actually not sure how we were even able to listen to this. Do you remember that weird band, maybe ran into them at South by Southwest, Power Bottom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they got dropped by their label and taken off iTunes and Spotify after an anonymous claim of sexual assault against the lead singer. How are we able to hear this album? It seems like the backlash for the whole child pornography thing would be as bad, if not worse.
It's a great question. But the problem is you got to look at what he brags about.
Oh, so these other guys weren't bragging about horrifying crimes that they were committing.
They were held to a slightly higher standard.
Solid theory.
Lower expectations for a guy with rainbow hair and teeth.
Lower expectations for a guy that has 69 tattooed on his face.
Lower expectations for a gentleman that did not complete the 8th grade. Do you hate this?
Yeah. Do you hate this?
Yes. I think that there's some good music on this album. I think that 90% of his lyrics are trash, and I enjoyed getting to learn about modern day Instagram social media stars and the New York rap game. So for that, thank you.
Yeah,
As
the
far as his
research
music,
was, for the most part, interesting.
album is utter garbage. Don't waste your time. Many of these songs you could ask, what was the point? There was none. Whores and murder. Murders and whores. All right, guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell people you hate. Let's get the numbers up. The reviews make a tremendous difference because all those robots that decide where we appear in the rankings are largely basing it off of the reviews that you get and the number of people that are listening. Please reach out to us. Tell us funny stories, things you like, things you don't like. What do you think of these albums? Have you been listening to them? We talk about a lot of weird shit. Let us know what you think about our theories. You can go to our website, hatepod.com, click on the contact us in the upper left-hand corner. You can email us directly at hatepodmail@gmail.com. You can hit up Instagram, which Tim largely runs. It is at hatepod, or you can hit up Twitter, which I largely run, which is album hatepod, or you can go to facebook.com/hatepod and get us both. I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that we has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.